These are all the sensor readings of the flow of heartbreak. Reports say action against Cambodian crime groups or to rescue detained citizens must happen this week. The golden time lasts until this week. Today we'll examine this issue closely. Let's begin. You've probably seen a lot of news reports that crime syndicates in Cambodia are currently packing up their belongings and fleeing in the middle of the night. Currently, as international attention is focused on Cambodia's crime syndicates and investigations and sanctions against them are intensifying, we're seeing them fleeing to other countries. Domestic news cameras have captured these groups renting buses early, loading computers, phones, and crime tools, then fleeing together. They packed up all their belongings and withdrew overnight. It has been found that various criminal organizations that were concentrated around Phnom Penh and Sihanoukville have recently been making large-scale escapes overnight to the Cambodian border areas to avoid crackdowns. Some are reportedly fleeing to Vietnam, Myanmar, or Laos. The bigger problem is that since they are taking our citizens who are being held captive with them, even after we barely managed to locate the criminal organizations, we are now in a situation where we have to identify their locations all over again. Reports indicate this week is crucial and time is running out. The Korean government is increasing joint crackdowns with Cambodian authorities, but since the main criminal organizations have fled, there are concerns these efforts may not yield real results. Several unofficial border routes, called rat holes, let people bypass inspections and searches. Unlike Korea's barbed wire border, several routes exist to bypass inspections. For example, these criminal organizations. Over 1,000 people are estimated to have been caught crossing. However, we still don't know the exact number of Koreans who are being held captive. Right now, there's a significant difference between the number of people leaving Cambodia and the number of Koreans entering Korea. The difference, which was only 113 people in 2021, surged to 3,209 in 2022, 2,662 in 2023, and 3,248 in 2024, showing a sharp increase to between 2,000 and 3,000 people. As of August this year alone, it has been confirmed that 864 people have not returned. It is estimated that over 1,000 more people are involved in criminal organizations. Even counting those who entered Korea via a third country or settled in Cambodia without crimes, this number remains too high. These criminal groups flee at night. If they go further underground, rescuing and repatriating victims will be harder. These criminal groups are now moving to Myanmar and Laos. Cambodia still appears like a country, but in Laos or Myanmar, catching them is nearly impossible. In Laos, the government is working with criminal groups to boost the economy. Myanmar's civil war is so intense that even international media won't enter to report. Reports of employment scams and kidnappings in Laos and Myanmar are rising quickly. In Laos, cases rose from 1 in 2021 to 56 in 2023 and 28 in 2024, while Myanmar had none in 2021. In Myanmar, 20 cases were reported in 2023 and 3 in 2024, so kidnapping and confinement reports persist in both Laos and Myanmar. With Cambodian criminal organizations relocating to Myanmar and Laos, such reports are expected to rise. Another reason they're hard to catch is that Myanmar and Laos are even less secure than Cambodia. Pay close attention to the Golden Triangle, the border between Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand. It was once notorious for opium, and in some places, drug production remains prevalent. This area is full of criminal organizations, making travel there completely prohibited due to its danger. Criminal organizations and authorities are seriously colluding. In 2007, King's Romans, a Chinese casino group, leased land for 99 years and built casinos and hotels there. Now they've even taken control of the administration. It's gotten to the point where even the Lao police have a hard time entering the area. Myanmar has become lawless, with frequent scams, kidnappings, and human trafficking caused by armed rebels colluding with Chinese criminal groups. Now that they've moved into places like this, it's even harder to catch them. China is the main reason Southeast Asian countries have become crime hotbeds. It's closely tied to China's Belt and Road Initiative. Since the 2010s, China has built resorts and casinos in Southeast Asia to support the Belt and Road Initiative. In 2024, China provides 69.9% of Cambodia's foreign direct investment, with Vietnam at 12.3%, Singapore 5.6%, and Hong Kong 3.8%. In fact, you can see that China is the largest investor in Cambodia. China's share of foreign direct investment in Cambodia was about 30% in 2020, but it has risen to about 70% in 2024. The problem is that as things like casinos are being built, criminal organizations that manage them, large crime groups like the Chinese Mafia, have also moved to Southeast Asia in large numbers. On top of that, there were several crackdowns on criminal organizations within China, and at the same time, the outbreak of COVID-19 caused profitability issues. Chinese criminal organizations changed their direction to kidnapping and detaining people to carry out voice phishing. This is how things have continued up to now. Cambodia's true cooperation with Korea's investigation remains uncertain. They appear cooperative, but the situation is actually much more complex. Right now, criminal organizations' money is deeply rooted within Cambodia. Local officials report that 20% to nearly 50% of Cambodia's economy already comes from criminal money. Their money is reportedly tied to casinos, resorts, real estate, and parts of finance. Simply put, criminal money is now embedded within the country's economic structure. Although the Cambodian government publicly promises to cooperate with Korea, they cannot act on it. The ties between the criminal organizations and the high-ranking government officials are too deep, and the financial relationships they've built over many years are binding them together. Locally, it's widely rumored that politicians, senior police, and military officials are linked to the money flow. This is why, despite Korea's requests for joint investigations or information sharing, local agencies do not act. In fact, the Korean government proposed setting up a Korean desk in Cambodia to establish a real-time response system, but the Cambodian side ultimately did not agree. Investigative information is rarely shared. Some reports claim Cambodian police officials warned criminal complexes about crackdowns in advance. They claim to be cracking down, but that's exactly why criminals know and act first. It's hard to expect real cooperation in a country where crime drives the economy and politics depends on that money. If Cambodia continues to maintain this ambiguous attitude, it's highly likely that investigative cooperation will end up as nothing more than empty promises. Due to Cambodia's lack of cooperation, both the Democratic Party and the People Power Party want stronger military action. This has happened multiple times. On October 19th, John Hyun-hee of the Democratic Party of Korea condemned the kidnapping and detention of Koreans in Cambodia and said military action may be needed. She also urged that the suspension of official development assistance should be considered. Cambodia's official development assistance budget is $435.2 billion won this year, about double last year's. Due to Cambodia's uncooperative attitude in the investigation, some have called for cutting or suspending the official development assistance budget. The government is expected to impose financial sanctions on Cambodian criminal organizations. Since the Prince Group has a Korea office, these sanctions will likely affect them directly. If we don't resolve this week, our citizens held captive will be taken to the Golden Triangle in Laos or Myanmar. That place isn't just a dangerous area, it's a lawless zone where even the government has no control. This region where Laos, Myanmar, and Thailand meet has long been infamous for drugs, human trafficking, and arms smuggling. International organizations still can't enter or leave freely. The United Nations Human Rights Group tried to investigate but gave up, while the Ministry of Foreign Affairs calls it a non-existent place, despite it appearing on maps. This area is actually controlled by Chinese criminal organizations and local armed groups, not the government. A financial network exists with strict outsider controls. Once you go in, you can't even get a cell phone signal, and in some areas, you can't even identify the location with satellite images. If the kidnapping victims are moved inside, rescue through diplomatic channels is virtually impossible. Borders lose meaning, and people vanish beyond law enforcement's reach. Locals call it a no-return area, because no one has ever come back. According to testimonies from victims who were rescued from areas once occupied by Myanmar rebels, electric torture, confinement, and forced labor were everyday occurrences there. If anyone tried to escape, they were either shot on the spot or targeted for organ trafficking. Currently, Cambodian criminal groups are moving in. If they fully enter the Golden Triangle, it's over. Diplomacy, investigations, and negotiations will be impossible. If we can't take action within this week, the people inside will literally become people who have disappeared from the map. News reports say the best time to crack down and rescue people from Cambodia's Sotan crime zone is this week. If we can't rescue them within this week, the situation could become even more serious. What do you think about the current situation? Please leave your thoughts in the comments as well. That's the end of the video. Thank you.